Hello and welcome to Boomer Live once again, ladies and gentlemen. And today we are here to talk about the Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh game, the Nagin Derby as we all call it. And it was yet another game where Sri Lanka takes the aces against Bangladesh. You can say so they came close, but not close enough. But you have to give credit to some brilliant knock. Kushal Mendes played a good knock to start out with. Then obviously Samara Vikrama, who played a brilliant knock in the first encounter as well, continuing to do it so. And with Bangladesh, with Rohit Hirdoy, who played a beautiful 82. You can say he missed out on a well-deserving 100. You never know if he was there in the finish line. Anything could have possibly happened because he was trying to take the game deep. And you saw a lot of maturity from a 22-year-old youngster. And this could be an impetus which is going to be laid down for a beautiful career, which is in ups of hands for him. If that's something which we'll talk about, I've Jaren with me. Jaren, what a game of cricket because a lot of people did not expect this game to go on, but a full 100 over game of cricket, what we got to see in Premalasa and Colombo, and after all, we got a winner. So that's a major talking point to start off with.
Yeah, absolutely. The Nahin, the El Nagino, as we called it last time around as well, it's really not disappointed us once again. Some really good bowling, but then you would have to say in many ways that if you have to look at the top four, the final four as it is called, rather you look at all four teams, you'd probably say that Bangladesh is at the weakest position in their cricketing, in terms of their cricketing success in the past few months. And that is really shown today once again, especially what has let them down has to be their batting because I felt they did a decent job with the ball. I mean, 257 was about par score on this wicket. Not an easy one to bat on, but they did a decent job. However, the biggest issue for them was their batting. They just really threw away the wickets at the worst possible time. Some really bad shot selection, you'd have to say, and some of the shots were really nothing shots. You felt, for example, Mehdi Hassan Miraz, the shot that he played, or the one that someone like Mohammad Naeem played, it just looked like they were nowhere there. Not something that you would see in international cricket. I know Dasun Shanaka did set them up with a short delivery, but you expect international quality batters to be a little bit more wary than to make such mistakes. And that having said that, though, I feel all credit to Sri Lanka. The way they bowled, they did start off, for me at least, able on the back foot because 257, you would say that was quite chaseable, and they needed early wickets, which they didn't get. It was a very good start that Bangladesh had in that first 10 overs in itself. They're not lost a wicket. But then, once they got those wickets, they really crowded the batters. The fielders were not at the edge of the 30-yard circle, rather, they were within 15 yards from the batter, and that really put the pressure on the Bangladesh players. Last time as well, from what I observed, it felt like Bangladesh were not able to take those singles and doubles. When the pressure was on them, they let it sit. Either they tried to look for boundaries and got out, or they just couldn't take those singles. So again, in trying to absorb the pressure, they did not really get the scoreboard moving. That really put pressure on them. I mean, credit has to be given to Velalage and Patirana, especially when those two wickets that Shanaka got, you really saw them, really turn the screws on and make it very difficult for Bangladesh batters to score. Once that happened, there was no way, and the net run rate the run rate kept going up, and Bangladesh really faltered.
Yeah, I agree with you because one thing I also felt, maybe let's start off with Sri Lanka's batting to start off with. They kind of read the pitch very well. They understood it was a 250 odd wicket rather than looking for something 300 and getting bowled out for less than 220. So important to look that from that aspect. Okay, understandable that Sri Lanka are the home side, and that certainly helps as well. 13th consecutive win for them. Now that is a good track record. And remember, in this tournament, they have been undefeated as well. They defeated Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh again. And to add to that fact, they've been a very injury affected team. So you have to give credit here, isn't it, for their planning, the way in which Shanaka has captained this team once again. I mean, we have given credit to Sri Lanka a lot of times, but in Asian conditions, now you would really find or fancy Sri Lanka's chances in the World Cup more than what we really fancy at this point.
See, I think Sri Lanka had their best opportunity in this year's World Cup than any of the previous World Cups since 2011 because they are a team that's really built for these kind of conditions. Obviously, we need to see how what kind of wickets will India provide in the World Cup. But if it is anything like this, or if it's anything like the subcontinent wickets, then this Sri Lankan team can really, on their day, make it tough for teams to score. One of the biggest strengths that they have is obviously the spin bowling. I know they don't have a Hasaranga, but Velalage has done a very good job. He's balled the right line and length, so you really have to take the action against him. He he will not give you anything away. And that's one of the best things about the Sri Lankan team. I know they don't have a star-studded bowling lineup like what Pakistan has got, or rather what India has also got with probably the likes of Bumrah or Siraj, who will create something on their own. Maybe Patirana is coming to that level, but I think with Velalage or even Tikshana to an extent, how these guys operate is they dry the runs out and then make you take the initiative. And today you felt like Bangladesh were not able to take the initiative. And I think with the score that is 257, Abel, you don't really need to go after the bowling. All you need to do is make sure you take the singles, score 5 to 6 runs every over, take those singles, and that's what Sri Lanka did in the early half when they were put under pressure. Unfortunately, though, you felt like Bangladesh were not able to do it, and that's really what hurt them. But having said that, Sri Lanka
I agree.
knows how to turn the screws on in these kind of pitches. And I mean, credit has to be given to Dasan Shanaka, the way he's led this team. It just seems like, that calmness, that's the strategy, the idea to know what to do next is really coming into it.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Instead of Bangladesh had Afghanistan been in Super Fours, they could have been given a better competition and performance. Hard to justify it or say it at this point. Everything is hypothetical or in hindsight. Anything could have happened. With Bangladesh as well. They're not a bad team. I mean, we've been disregarding Bangladesh. I think they are very much suited for these conditions as much as what Sri Lanka is. But in Sri Lanka, I've always believed that they've got it in them to go a long way, and that's why they were one of the best teams for me in Asian conditions. When you talk about India, Pakistan, I think you can never write off Sri Lanka in Asia Cup. I know a lot of people always vote off Sri Lanka before the Asia Cup. That was a wrong thing to do. You saw it last year as well. How this team can claw their way back in the middle of a tournament, or how they can possibly use the best out of the conditions with the players they've got. Sri Lankan pitches are always difficult to chase. I agree with you totally on this because uh, I always felt 250 in Sri Lanka is always going to be a hard task. Anything except 260, 270 is a Herculean task. And when you get 300, which is quite an impossible task, then you are possibly on a winning seat or a driver's seat to go on to win the match.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel able that Bangladesh could have really put up a better fight than this. I mean, for me, they kind of lost their flow of the innings. I think the biggest issue for them has probably been Shakib and Mushfiqur Rahim and the way that they haven't. They are the cornerstones of this batting lineup. And if you look at most of the team, probably even Litton Das, I'll add Litton Das to that list as well. These are the three batters that really provide the impetus to Bangladesh innings. Someone like Naeem, Mehdi Hasan Miraj doesn't even open the batting. I think this is the first time he's really opening the batting. They're trying him out there. He looked good for his 28, I would say. But unfortunately, though, what I really feel is these are not the batters who will win you games. These are the batters who bat around you, who bat around the superstars. Both, I mean, Litton Das, now Shanto is again another batter who I feel doesn't bat at that tempo. He's someone who will carry the bat towards the end. If you have a Shanto, then you need to have someone who bat at an aggressive, 125, 130 strike rate. But now looking at just Shakib today as well, got out in a very similar way to what he got out in Kandy against Patum Nisanka. I mean, not Patum Nisanka, but rather against Mahesh Patirana. And I think also probably you'll have to. I feel like Bangladesh is not really able to manage the way or the awkward action that Patirana has. That I feel has been a big issue because even in the last game we saw, the moment Patirana came into ball, the innings kind of halted. And if that was the case, it's fine. It's understandable if Patirana is someone you can't go after. I still felt they should have tried to go after someone like Vilalage. Probably put some pressure on him. He's a young lad, still trying to build up his career. He's not really found his place in the team. The only reason why he has gotten a chance to play is because Hasaranga is not there. So I think that was when maybe if you transfer the pressure onto him, but you allowed him to ball maidens, and then you couldn't really get going after
Yeah.
against Patirana, really hurt your team in the middle, and then it was too much to do for someone like Taurid Hridoy towards the end. It was way too much to do for him. He was a young batter, so your senior players really have to raise their hands and start playing a little bit more, contributing a little bit more.
Absolutely. Couple says I was waiting for you guys. Thanks for that. Sri Lanka, if they had Hasaranga too, they would have been crazy. I mean, yeah, you can just imagine in these conditions with their all-round ability of Hasaranga, with the form he was in right after LPL, they would have been much more potent. And let's add Chamira and Lahiru Kumara as well onto that list, and Avishka as well. I mean, they would have been a good team. I mean, already they're a good team, but they would have been much more potent with that. I mean, we'll take this question. Clear the head of Thank you for that. Please don't change the hairstyle. I want okay. Uh, look, thank you again. But yeah, let's take a couple again. I believe Bangladesh needs more youngsters. Yeah, I mean, I think Hridoy's performance today is I certainly laid the impetus for what the Bangladesh future is going to be. I think Hridoy was part of the under 19 winning side in 2020 for Bangladesh. So he's coming off some bit of success, what he has seen already earlier in his career. And he looks like he's got a lot of maturity and a young shoulders. He came out to bat when they were four down, if I'm not wrong, and from there to score 82, it was no small no knock for them. But then just going back to Sri Lanka once again, I think Sadira Samarvikrama was very catchy, even in the last time when he played against Bangladesh in Palikale. Let's talk about him. He has played plethora of games in domestic cricket. For him to make the transition, the kind of shots he played, how he's comfortable to use his feet against spin, how he was comfortable today as well. He made sure that left arm spin threat or even Tuscan trying to really impose in the middle overs, he kind of neutralized. He played a brilliant knock of 93. You can see he missed a well-deserved 100 to top it off. Oh, what a knock that was from Sadir Samarvikrama. He's getting better with every innings he's playing.
Yeah, I mean, Samar Vikrama just loves playing against Bangladesh, doesn't he? Because even in the previous game, he was the one him and Asalanka were the two people who rescued Sri Lanka from a spot of bother while they were chasing the score. And today again, you felt like their innings was going nowhere after that three wickets, especially the wicket of Kusal Mendes and then Asalanka, Shanaka. I mean not Asalanka, but rather Asalanka's wicket as well. So Kushal Mendes, Asalanka, and then right before that Nisanka and Karunaratne, all of those guys falling around him. He came in and he played a very aggressive knock. He had the high strike rate, even if you look at both the sides and their batters. So he is an aggressive batter. He's someone who will counter attack, and that's what he did today. That's where that's again what I that's the same point I come back to. You didn't feel like someone from Bangladesh did that today, and by the time Hridoy started doing it, it was already too late. It was way too much burden on him. So that's what Samara Vikrama did. So even if Bangladesh were getting wickets, they were really not in the driver's seat because he was still making sure that Sri Lanka were causing the damage, and that's where his innings was so important. He's a very flashy batter. What I would say, he's someone who loves to get his hands through the ball. On some days that could really hurt him, but as of now, at least against Bangladesh, he just loves batting against them.
Absolutely, and that's one thing which we can talk about. Nabila says, I think Sri Lanka might surprise India or Pakistan. I mean, possibly can. I mean, why are we writing Sri Lanka off like they are a minnow nation or anything of that sort? They are a top quality side. They are the Asian champions, and we are writing them off in their own home conditions. That's something which you shouldn't do. Even if it was in India, I would have still said, okay, we will see about it. But in Sri Lanka, in those conditions, they are one of the best players of spin in the tournament at this point. I'd still say they're better players of spin than India and Pakistan. So, in middle overs, if at all you're posing themselves in a turning track against them, they can possibly use a spin 40. At the same time, they can play spin better than the other teams as well. So, you have to say Sri Lanka are one of the better teams. Maybe on flat tracks is where they can be neutralized very well because they do not have that kind of express pace or they do not have that dynamic batting unit to possibly take it all the way. I know they have a Shanaka and others in lower down the batting order, but then they still don't have the dynamism. On tracks which will hold up and turn and the ball is not going to come really onto the bat, I think players like Sadir Samarvikrama, Asalanka, these guys are going to be in top form. Even let's talk about Kusal Mendes and Nisanka as well. So that's why you don't really write this team off. And then they have got the part-time options. They've got Lage, then they've got Dhananjay De Silva. So these options also come into hand very much in these kind of conditions. Weather updates, which we'll go into that. We'll go into the weather updates. But, let's talk about Doy's knock. I mean, we did not really lay a lot of light in that. What a knock from him once again. He looks like he could be the next big thing in Bangladesh cricket. I know he came into bat way too late, but then he looks like he's very much more comfortable playing good quality bowling attack. He's comfortable playing the spin. Even against paces, he did not really look shaken at all at any point. Patirana was in between a good spell, but he made sure he weathered that and he kept going. And he was one of the better players who picked Patirana as well. Initially, he did struggle slightly, but after that, he got going well.
Yeah, I mean, Taurid Hridoy was part of the Lanka Premier League. This happened a few weeks back here in Sri Lanka, and he had a decent one with Colombo Strikers. I think he had an average of somewhere around 25, 26, 27, which is, I mean, for a young cricketer, it's pretty decent. And he had a record of 135, 136. Again, I think if you really have to look at it from the perspective that they were playing LPL in Sri Lanka, I mean, it's it's not as easy to go after the bowling. And for him to come up with such kind of performances, I think that's impressive from a youngster. He also bats slightly higher up, and I think in Bangladesh, obviously, when you have batters like Mushfiqur Rahim, Shakib Al Hasan, Liton Das ahead of him, you probably won't see him come up the order for a while. But having said that, yeah, you're absolutely right. The kid's got something about him. I think this Bangladesh team again is probably the only issue, right? I still feel they've got the talent table. Only issue is their senior players are not stepping up. Look at Sri Lanka. I think at least a few of their batters are stepping up. It's the batting for me that's really letting up Bangladesh down at this point in time, and also the fact that their spinners are not really able to find that penetration. I feel if that those two aspects come through, if Shakib Al Hasan and Mehdi Hasan are able to pick up wickets in the middle overs, not make it easier for batters to keep turning them around, get singles, then I think
I
batters
think
like
also
with the
once
contribution that
Mustafa
someone like
is
Roy
really
is
back into this team, Mustafiz is back into this team,
correct,
they look
yeah,
much better. I think Mustafiz in these kind of tracks would have been
yeah,
much more
absolutely.
potent than any other bowler.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think he's also got something about him. He's got that wicket taking ability that I think some of these ballers still don't. I mean, Shariful is doing a really good job as a left-hander. He's bowling at very good pace. He's getting the ball to curve in. I'm really interested to see how he does against India because India's had the traditional issues with left arm spin. I mean, fast bowlers. So if India is chasing against Bangladesh under the lights, I'm a little skeptical of how they'll face someone like Shariful because he did a very good job against Bangladesh. I think he was the one who broke their back. I mean, not Bangladesh, sorry, rather Afghanistan, rather, where he broke their back when they were playing that in the group stages. So he's one of the bowlers that I'm really interested at looking into because he's someone I feel him and I mean, whenever Mustafizur returns, they can really make a very good combo, especially towards the death.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one factor which is to consider. I mean, he's been very impressive in this Asia Cup, one of the leading wicket takers as well so far. And alongside Tuscan as well. Tuscan has been slightly erratic today, but he's someone who you expect to take wickets up front and also in the death. But talking about weather updates, I think we can slightly go towards that game. So far, in the last 2 days, there haven't been a lot of rain. So that's good news. Even today, the skies were clear in Colombo from what you saw. And it looks like it might rain. There are 80% rain predicted. But today as well, there was 80% rain predicted, but you did not see any rain. So over the last 2 days, the rain, it's only rain for last 1 hour is what we get from the ground over there. I told you there's someone who we have placed in Sri Lanka. So tomorrow you'll be getting live updates from that person as well. So we are in touch with someone. I told you, you might see him on our live stream tomorrow straight from ground zero. He is in Colombo right now and he's there to cover the match. So hopefully we can get in touch with him and he will be joining us to give the live feed as to what's happening in Colombo. Even if it rains as a reserve day, which is a good thing. I mean, a lot of people have mixed opinions about having a reserve day just for one game and not for other games. But not for you people not to have a sad washout like last time. At least there's a reserve day because last time the game left us on a cliffhanger when it was 266 or to win for Pakistan. And remember, in Sri Lanka, 266 is a good total. I mean, whatever you say, anything could have possibly happened that day if there was no rain. So that's the news. I mean, if it's the same ground once again, there's a lot of humidity, but the humidity percentage was close to 98% of humidity. So it's not easy. It's a very draining situation in Colombo right now, but there is no rain as of now, which is good news. We do not know if we will get early morning showers. If at all, if it rains throughout the night, it's still good news because you have time. You have close to 13, 14 hours of time left to start the game or for the preparation to get going for the ground. So even if it rains throughout the night, it's still fine. You can get the ground ready by the time the first ball is ball. Jen, what do you reckon about the weather and how do you reckon it's going to affect the game in any way at all?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've read, I think both the days there is a lot of rain predicted. But I mean, just the thing that I learned very recently. So when they say 90% of chance of rain, right? It's more like the whole city. So if you look at Colombo, it's like they multiply the areas that might receive rain into the percentage that, an average percentage of how much, if rain will happen or not. So if it's 90 percentage of chances, 90 percentage of places that's going to rain and 100 percentage of chance that it will rain in those 90 percentage areas, then it is 90 into 100. So that's 90 percentage. It's not like only the probability of rain that's going to happen. So it's a little bit more complicated than that. It's also possible when they say 90 percentage of rain that the 10 percentage around the ground there might not be any rain. So that's how that stat works. So when they say 90 percentage or 80 percentage, Hopefully, the 20 percentage of rain probability is less, when in the multiplication, less in the ground or the areas around the ground, and the match is not affected. But yeah, just from what I've read, it's possible that on both the days, even the reserve day, there might be rain available. But having said that, I am one of those people who's on the other side of the fence table when it comes to a reserve day. Huge India Pakistan fan, but this is a big tournament. There are two other teams playing. It's really unjust that you're not giving reserve day to everyone.
At least at this point, you have to say that this game being played at the underovers, I don't think a lot of people will complain. If this game would have been a washout, then questions would have all of a sudden risen up, because then you're talking about one
Yeah,
game finished off, another big game being washed out. So for the very fact that this game was not washed out and this game had a result, you can't really sit and complain. Now your game is over. Now you're looking at India versus whoever, or India versus Pakistan. If it hopefully it doesn't get washed out in the 2 days. Hopefully, at least one day of cricket you can finish it off. And I'm very hopeful that tomorrow you'll see a whole game. At least, even if it rains, it's going to be very much in minor circumstances, in minor interruptions. Because with Colombo, you're also witnessing a lot of winds, which is good. In Palika, you'll not see a lot of winds because it's a coastal area. You will see a lot of winds blowing the clouds away. Now that will also come into effect in the game. So whether dew factor is going to be there or not, because if there's a lot of humidity throughout the day, then the dew factor will come into play. But if there's a lot of wind towards later end of the day, then dew factor will not come into play. For example, today one of the reasons why Sri Lanka found it very easy on the ball under the lights is there was not a lot of dew because of the wind which was there on the ground. But tomorrow you never know. Tomorrow if there are no wind, if it's like a stable weather condition with high chance of humidity, high percentage of humidity, then you will see dew in the ground. That's going to make it a lot more easier for the chasing team. Let's go to tomorrow's game once. What do you reckon India should do or Pakistan will do? I think India should bat first, in my opinion, because I know it can. If there are rain around, India can maybe ball first. But if there are not a lot of rain, if you can at least take that confidence by saying that if there are not a lot of rain, maybe we can bat first, score 260, 270 once again, and let Pakistan chase. Because you saw what happened today. It is not easier to chase at all in that ground when the ball is getting to stop.
yeah. I mean, I think for me, Abel, one of the things, obviously, for me, when facing Pakistan, best way to do it is make sure that the fact that their bowling is a little heavier when it comes to talent, when it comes to skill. You don't want their bowling to be the deciding factor, and that'll only be when you're chasing. Because then when you're chasing, you're always going against their bowling attack, and they would love to make sure that that they are defending a target because that's when they're really at their best. But having said that, again, when you're facing Pakistan, you probably need to make sure that you score a little bit more than, I mean, if possible, a little bit more than the par score, because you don't want them to settle down. I think a 257, 260 is probably the best way to go. Anything below that, it'll make Babar and Rizwan, I think the kind of talent that they've got, they'll really wait you out, the good bowlers, and they'll go after the bowling that they feel they're comfortable with, and they'll only attack when they really have to. So make sure that you push them out of their comfort zone, force them to play a little bit more aggressively, which is not really not their style. But having said that, I think it's always going to matter on how India plays the new ball against the likes of Shaheen Shah Afridi, Harris Roth, and Naseem Shah. Once you face that new ball, maybe 20 overs without losing more than a wicket or so, then I think Pakistan will be in the back foot, because then, as we spoke last time, they only have five bowlers, and Nawaz is not really been taking a lot of wickets. So
But
four
Nawaz is
bowlers
not
who are
playing.
going to take your wickets.
Nawaz is not playing tomorrow.
But yeah, I think
Fahim is.
I mean, are you sure? Because I think the last time they played him in Lahore is because they expected
No, I think the playing 11 is
some
decided
advantage to the
already. I think
Pacers.
playing 11 is out. Playing 11 is out is what I
Yeah.
saw. So in that there was no Nawaz. It was Fahim who was starting.
All right. Yeah, I suppose. But then for
And I
me, I
agree as
think
well because
even
last
then,
time 21 overs of spin, 133 runs for no wickets against India. I think that's something which they'll take a learning as well.
yeah.
Because if Ishan Kishan is going to bat in the middle order, he's going to find it very much more easier to bat against a Nawaz over someone like a Fahim.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Fahim as well, he's not a big threat. Yeah, I think I'm just getting the confirmation that, yeah, Mohammad Nawaz has been dropped, and I think it's fair, dude. I don't think he's really performed much with the bat or with the ball. He's been here and there. I mean, it was about time. And I mean, and also, he's really not added any value. Fahim has done decently with the bat. I would say his bowling is still something that I'm not really sold with. I think he really is not a wicket-taking threat yet. That's not to say that he's not going to take wickets. He's more of someone who's a fifth, sixth bowling option. He does a decent job, and I think him and Shadab are probably the ones you can attack because of the kind of form they are in. I'm not saying Shadab is a bad bowler, but he also against India, it felt like he wasn't in his element. He was either dragging the ball down, darting it in, or when he was trying to flight the ball, he was bowling a lot of full tosses. So maybe those are the two guys to go after. But if India can play out Naseem Shah, Haris Rauf, Shaheen Shah Afridi, they'll be really safe. Then Babar will have a lot more to think about. He might even have to bring in someone like Salman Agha. So that is where India starts winning the match. But it's easier said than done. Those three are probably one of the best bowling lineups in the world right now.
They are. They certainly are. It's not easy to go against them. And whatever you say, Shaheen is going to ball a Yorker to start off with, but you still have to get your bat down and play the Yorker. Regardless of every batter in the world knows that he's going to ball the first ball Yorker, and still batters tend to lose the wicket against him. That's the quality of Shaheen Shah Afridi, what we're talking about. Will India change their strategies in playing level tomorrow? For me, Ishan Kishan should start from what he's been doing. Um, he's a left-hand option, and what you can possibly do is to have the left-hand option that also puts a lot of pressure on the fielding side to keep changing when you have a right hand and a left hand in the middle. Shreyas Iyer just got one batting opportunity. I think KL Rahul might have to wait. Then you can see maybe then once Shreyas plays a couple of matches, then you can rotate between Shreyas and KL, because I still am not sure about KL's keeping. So for one factor why I'll just go with Ishan. Firstly, he's a left-hander. Secondly, he's a better keeper, and then his performance in the recent past. He's a player in form, played a very much of a he's played one of the best knocks he's played in international cricket under pressure against Pakistan. That 80 odd is the best knock I've seen him play in international cricket, or his best knock I've ever seen him play in any sort of cricket as well. So for him, I think he should get the nod ahead just on that basis. And he was playing the leggy and the left arm spinner pretty well. And he looked very comfortable against the paces as well when he walked in. 66 for 4, and to take the team score 204 odd by scoring the 80 in a quick fire mode. He was counter-attacking when it needed to be. So I think he will definitely have to start alongside Shreyas. I don't see any changes. I think Bumrah will come instead of Shami from the Nepal game. That's the only thing. Maybe I'll be very tempted to play Akshar Patel tomorrow. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think looking at today's pitch, now obviously things might be different tomorrow, but just looking at today's pitch table, I think a good left arm spinner who can really, restrict runs at least from one end is a huge advantage. I know India have Jadeja, but it's not really a bad option to have someone like Akshar Patel, and also he adds more value with the bat over Shardul Thakur. So just by the fact that we're playing in Sri Lanka, I think for me again another Akshar Patel is the one player even I would like to have in my team. And again, you add another left arm option against the likes of Shadab Khan. So you can force Shadab Khan out of the attack and force the fast bowlers to keep bowling a little bit more.
Absolutely. That's one thing which we'll talk about. Can't wait for India versus Pakistan. Thank you guys for the update. Yeah, much, our pleasure to be honest. Thank you for joining us as well in terms of staying with us as a very, very loving community over the last 1 year. We've been able to create a good fan base with you all and interact with you in a better way. So yeah, we'll be giving you all these latest updates from ground zero before the game, what the updates are like, how the ground is, and whether the game will go on or not. It looks positive as of now. There is no rain. I hope it continues till tomorrow night for the next 24 hours. Even if it all rains, let it rain now or for the next some time. So by the time it's morning and by the time the match is going to get going, so there is no more rain. So there are rain predicted, but let's just hope it's before the game and not during the game, or let it be after the game, not during the game. So that's what we really hope. Our final thoughts, your predictions for tomorrow. If India wins the toss, bat first. Is that what you still think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, bat first for sure. Any team, I think, if I am the captain against this Pakistan team, regardless of my strength, I think I would go ahead and bat first because their fast bowling is so potent. I don't want to face them under the lightsaber. I genuinely don't. And today, again, I mean, if you just look at today again, I mean, I know it's going to be not probably never going to be the same conditions, but the way Rajita swung the ball, he was a little unlucky to not get a wicket. I don't want to be facing that kind of swing in more skilled hands of Shaheen Shafri. So, bat first for
Absolutely.
sure.
Sure. Thank you all for joining, and do not forget to check out our premium contest with Boomer 11. Once again, I'm just going to reiterate that we are there on Apple App Store and Google Play Store. So if you want to play fantasy contests with premium features, check that out. You can win a lot of prizes there, some high quality and some exciting prices. If you want to check our free to play feature, you can check that out as well. And do check out Predictor feature where you can predict for tomorrow's contest who's going to be the highest one getter, how many sixers will be scored, how many wickets will be taken, and which team will possibly score more runs. So just predict these things, very simple questions, and you can win a lot of prizes doing that as well. Have a good time, all of you. See you all very soon. Do not forget to subscribe and share this video with as many people as possible so we can keep bringing you all of these exciting content in the coming days. Have a good time, all of you. See you all hopefully before the game, and also we have a game in hand so we can come and celebrate the game what we just witnessed tomorrow. Have a good time. See you all. Bye bye.